It's 4 o'clock and it's time for us to do this. Now, this is, hey Shay, this is a topic that I don't even know how to put this. I think it's just something that we really need to discuss. I mean, I want to draw it to your attention. How many of you do this and the damage that you do to yourself? You know, it's not hurting the dude, it's hurting you. And because he's getting what he wants out the situation, which is time, energy, money, sometimes a place to live, you cooking and cleaning for him, having kids for him, buying property with him, sleeping with him, all the stuff that you give in a situation that you're not looking at realistically. And if you looked at it with like the neutral eyes that I see what's going on in your relationship, use my eyes to look at it where you're just neutral and you don't have any ties to anybody, there's no loyalties involved anywhere. And I just don't understand why you guys don't see the harm that you're doing to yourself, and you stay in these situations and you make excuses for them. So today, let me load up my slideshow. Hold on a second before I get to going too much here. This is what we're going to be talking about. Oh, no, Sam. Oh, it was just you? Okay, you scared me. You scared me. Dr. Steele, hello there. Welcome. And Jim Doll, oh my God. Haven't seen you in like forever. I thought you had like gone to Mars or something, girl. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the insistence that so many women have that the relationship be their vision of a fantasy, to the point where y'all lie to other people and cover up for him and do all kind of stuff rather than face the fact that this man does not give two beans about you and your relationship. There's no respect there. You get treated like, talked to like you have four paws and a tail, and you stay and you stay and you stay and you make excuses for it and you keep staying and you keep accepting the nonsense. And it just drives me crazy. Hey, Pat from San Antonio. I went through there one time when I lived in Texas. It was nice. Okay, so let's go on over here before I love to go down rabbit holes. So let me turn my attention back over here. All right, now this is a quote from a young lady. So, and I want you guys to ask yourself that too, especially those of you who are in these struggle love situations. What would it be like if I could accept life, accept this moment exactly as it is? That means you don't put your little spin on it. You don't try to make excuses for it. You don't say, well, he didn't mean it. Well, I love him though. All these excuses that y'all use to stay in these situations where you're just getting treated like dog poop. And you stay. So, I mean, if you looked at it and you accept it for what it is, for who he is, and how he's treating you in that moment, instead of making all these excuses and clouding it over and pretending like it's not happening, how many more women would be so much happier? Y'all wouldn't have to be taking all these antidepressants. You would be slim and trim because you wouldn't be overeating. Your skin would look glowy and wonderful because you be getting all your rest and eating well and all this kind of stuff. It would be such a benefit for you. Such a benefit. You know what I mean? I'm going to be asking you guys some questions too. You know, you'll have an opportunity to chime in. Um, call in. I guess you could call in, huh? You can either type it in the chat. Here's the link number, uh, Shay, for when I get ready to start taking some calls. You know, I got to run my mouth first. But I'll open it up so that you guys can contribute your thoughts and experiences on this kind of stuff too. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. Now, the hardest thing I think that women struggle with, I'm going to go into like why you do the things that you do, but you know, first we have to be sure we all got to be on the same page. We got to understand what what ignoring facts is and what accepting facts is. So this is accepting. This is what happens when you accept that what is it is what it is. It's defined as the willingness to acknowledge and embrace your present experiences, including your thoughts, your emotions, and your circumstances without judgment or resistance. Now, the judgment part comes in when you guys start questioning yourself. You see this all over social media where people posing questions and they be like, well, does anyone else have this problem? Is it all right for me to feel this way? I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't, so you're judging yourself instead of accepting, well, this pissed me the fuck off. And I hate when he talks to me like that. I don't deserve that. I don't think I deserve that. I don't want to hear this anymore. So you sit there and you judge yourself and you make yourself be wrong and bad for feeling the things that you feel and thinking the things that you think. And I'm saying acceptance is all of that. You hear me say that all the time. Like I know I do some really shitty things. I say some horrible things to people. And you know what? When I was doing it, I didn't care. So why would I go back later and question myself and say, oh, I shouldn't have said that? I never do that. If I said some fucked up shit to you, I meant to say it to you. And if I did something that hurt you, I meant to hurt you. If I didn't, I would be the first to apologize. But I'm mature now, so I don't really do that anymore. When I was young, I used to do a lot of stuff accidentally. But when you live and learn, you know what to do and what not to do. So at this point in my life, if I do some jacked up stuff and you the victim of it, understand that that was intentional and I meant to do that to you. So if you own yourself and you trust yourself in your judgment and you understand what you feel, you understand your thoughts, you understand your wants, you don't sit in judgment of yourself anymore. And that to me is one of the components of having high self-esteem. You don't put yourself down. You don't question yourself. You don't doubt yourself. The resistance is, well, like I said, when you're saying, well, I shouldn't feel that way. That's bad. I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad girlfriend. I'm a bad sister. I'm a bad this. You're judging and resisting the fact that these are your real experiences and your real feelings. So then we started getting into the problem issues. So like I said, I wanted for you to understand what acceptance is. So as we go through all these slides in the show, you'll understand when you can think about some situations where you were in denial. So the opposite of acceptance is denial, right? Because here's accept. You accept reality, you deny reality. Most of you are on this side, or at least closer to this end, the denial side. It's basically, when you read about it, like I think it was a Freudian thing that Freud developed this denial situation, but what we now call denial was developed by Freud. But it's a defense mechanism that people use because what they're having to face is causing them a lot of anxiety and fear. Sometimes it's fear, because fear of change or fear of they don't really know what to do, so they stay in a sad situation. So it's a strategy because you're having negative feelings and stuff, and you don't really know what to do with them. And when you're in denial, it means that you're not acknowledging reality or that you're denying the consequences of that reality, right? So that's when my video, I have a 2 video series on this channel called And Then What? And what it is a guided lesson in teaching you how to think through situations. You don't think for what's right in your face right now. You think, okay, if I do move A, B, C, D, E, F, G, what, and then what? What's going to happen after I make each one of these choices? So it's basically teaching, especially younger kids, that the parents are not doing it, how to think and analyze situations and arrive at the best conclusion and the best outcome. So it's called And Then What? It's 2 video series. Okay. Yeah, second guessing yourself. It's just mess you up every time. So what are the kind of defense mechanisms that I use the term people? Because some of the stuff I'm going to be reading you is from men too. First of all, you deny the facts. Okay. You come up with all kind of magical excuses for why stuff happened the way that it happened. One of the main ones is when women, get their butts beat or something. Well, I made him mad. I shouldn't have made him mad. It can't be the fact that he shouldn't have put his hands on you. Can't be that. It has to be something that you did. Okay. Suppression of unpleasant events. Now, what does that mean? That means when something really bad happens, you know, you don't want to think about it. You don't want to think about it, so you just push it to the side. You push it, or they say you put it on the back burner. So when you take it off the stove completely, and you act like this behavior that he exhibited towards you was like a one-off or something. And so when it happens again, you want to act all brand new and surprised, and all your friends are like, "Well, isn't this like the third or fourth time he did that? Why you be looking like really confused, like because you have really suppressed those thoughts to the point where it kind of it fades into the distance for you. It's not a sheer, sharp, clear memory anymore. So when women break up, and I say, stop thinking about the good times and think about the bad, because that's what they're doing in that moment where they talk about, well, I want to get back with them. It's like, why would you want to get back with somebody who treated you like that, cheated on you, dogged you out, and spent all your money? Why would you do that? But they're doing this right here, the suppression of unpleasant events, because they're more focused on, their romantic fantasy. Projection of your thoughts and feelings. Now, this comes into play a lot when, like, say a couple breaks up and the guy, he come creeping back around. Now, you know what that's all about. He trying to nose around talking about, oh, uh, let's be, friendly. And I want to, just call and see how you doing this and that. So your feelings are, oh, he's calling me because he wants to get back together. That has not been demonstrated. He didn't say anything about all that. But those are your thoughts and your feelings. So the fact that he called you, just being nosy, trying to see what's going on in your world, and it's going to be an opportunity for some side booty where he's not really your man and don't have a responsibility to you, is available. That's all he's calling for. But you put all this emotion into it, and you ascribe all of your feelings for getting back together to him. That's why y'all don't block him when you break up and he cheats on you or whatever, and he leaves you. You don't block him. You're hoping by suppressing the unpleasant events that he's going to ask for forgiveness and come back. That's what you're hoping. I know that trick. I wasn't born yesterday. Avoidance of reality. That's when you make excuses. You know he didn't come home last night, or he lied about something, and you know this. You know for a fact. But what you do is want to say, well, I need proof. Like, you need to catch him in the bed with the woman or something. I don't know what y'all be doing. Yeah, they do want them again. That's why they be so happy when they call them. And then sublimation of feelings and impulses. What that basically means is you take your feelings and stuff and you replace them with something else. So say you're having negative feelings and feeling anxiety. Well, you go and you might start eating a bunch of cookies, or you might go to the gym and work out, or you might just work like all the time, working like 70-hour weeks, because you want to do something with your time other than sit around and think about the feelings and thoughts that you have. So you sublimate them with something else. That's what that means. Okay. Like substitute. Let's move on. Now, to me, denial is the most common defense mechanism that there is. Women just love to deny reality. I don't know, I just can't stand it. Now this little girl, she's only 16, but she has been through it because from being a foster child, like all kind of stuff in therapy, and it's this really mature and solid young person. So this is what she has to say about denial. But from what I can tell, most people live in a permanent state of denial. I heard the phrase that reality always wins, but I wonder how true that is. So many of those closest to me just deny and run from their problems, even after circumstances that would be, for me, total rock bottom, like losing their families, hurting people who love them, even their own children, against all evidence and advice to the contrary. I have come to believe that denial is the worst enemy of human happiness that there is. Now, how come she can figure that out at 16 and y'all in your 30s and 40s and still messing up like this? Come on now. She's on her way to getting her life together. Now, George Orwell, he's a guy who wrote that book called 1984, which was supposed to be like future. Well, it was futuristic when he wrote it, when it was at the 30s or something, 20s. And so, but this is his thing about the truth. However much you deny the truth goes on existing. Mark Twain has one too, but I can't remember what it was. I can't what it is right now. Some quote about the truth and reality. But that's it right there. That's it in a nutshell. No matter how much you deny it, it's still there. The truth keeps on keeping on. Because it is what it is. Now this is like, oh, I found this picture. I thought, oh, this is fabulous. Look at this little fairy picture here. So you guys, you see yourself as the star of some kind of romantic fantasy where love conquers all, right? This is the mantra, I think. This is kind of a collective put together from all y'all's little romantic fantasy words. Together, we can overcome any obstacle to our love. Love is a journey that requires commitment and perseverance. And I promise to never give up on us, no matter what challenges we face. Now, that might be appropriate for a wedding vow or something, but you know what? We're talking about mere boyfriends and girlfriends. You should never have this attitude about a mere boyfriend or girlfriend. You're gonna be together until it don't make sense to, and then you're gonna deuce out. That's what dating is. Just because you was with somebody for a year or two don't need to be one day past that if they get to clowning. You don't put, the sunk cost fallacy, throwing more good time after bad. That's you living wrong. You living backwards if you're doing that. This kind of shit here in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship sets you up for that what they call struggle love. That's what that is. Just gonna stay and stay and stay. The Hallmark Channel, they've been doing this before there was even a TV invented. I tell you that. People used to not even watch TV that much. And Hallmark wasn't around. But women have always had this, this focus. I'm telling you, it's like the romantic fantasy of happily ever after. That's some Disney stuff. But Grimm's fairy tales, Grimm's Disney. So how can we? What are the signs of denial? These are some, common ones. You refuse to talk truthfully about the problem. That's when your friends come and say, "Girl, are you all right? What's going on?" They there to help you. They love you, right? Oh, nothing, nothing. Oh, everything's fine. Oh, or you lie and say, like some of these advice letters come through here. Like the first thing they say, oh, he's a wonderful boyfriend, and then they start to tell you all the shit that he does that's not wonderful at all. And so then you wonder, okay, where's the wonderful part at? And so that's right here. They refuse to be truthful about it. So they have this thing in their mind where he's wonderful, and these are just a few of the little issues that they just wish could go ding 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 and go away. So you will find ways to justify your own and their behavior. Like if they do something, well, you making excuses for them. And if you know that you should be leaving, you have every excuse in the world why you got to stay. Well, but I know I just want him to change. Do you think he can change? Can this relationship be saved? What can I do to save this relationship? It's my fiance. That's this and that. Blah blah blah. Well, girl, so they got what we call a poor folks divorce. That's what they used to call it, where they just go and live somewhere else and go pick up and live their life happily ever after, but they're still technically married under the law. That's what that is. That's interesting. The third thing is you blame other people or outside forces for causing the problem. This happens a lot when men cheat. The woman be busy trying to blame the other woman. calling her a home wrecker, want to call her, want to fight her, all this kind of stuff. No, 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 no. The one who caused the problem is your man, okay? Nobody kidnapped him and abducted him and made him do any of that stuff. He did it because he wanted to. And when he was doing all that, he did not care about you, not 1 second, okay? Not one. But that's too hard for them to accept. So they slide into denial. Or sometimes they just like pretend like they don't know anything and it's not happening. They just carry on the relationship as usual. That's really the saddest part. Yes, yes, that DP. Good memory. I'm glad you guys have a good one because mine since 2022 is a little shot. This one, you persist in a behavior despite negative consequences. That means you either in the mess and the mess is unfolding right in front of you, or you did the and then what? And you decided to go and do something stupid anyway. Like how many times have I told women you're single unless you form a LLC under with an attorney and you got a tax ID number and you got everything set up that so you have like advisors and all sorts of stuff. You don't buy property with a boyfriend. You just don't do it. You don't do it anywhere on this planet. You don't do that. If you're not married, you don't buy shit with them. Not a dog, a plant, a boll weevil, nothing. You don't buy anything with a boyfriend. But yet, here every week, somebody writing in about some drama that they're experiencing, getting used, their money's gone now because they bought a house with a boyfriend. And then he decided that, well, your name's not on it. And after she gave him money and all that stuff and didn't do it illegally, so there's no record of it. All kind of just dumb shit women be doing because they be in love. And they're denying not only their behavior of stupidity because they don't go seek legal counsel to get their money back. They deny that this man, doesn't love them because he just used them. He just gamed on them. It was all a setup. They don't want to accept that though. Oh, I don't know what to do. You know what to do. You just don't want to do it. The last two, you promise to address the problem in the future. That's that Scarlett O'Hara thing. Oh, I'll think about that tomorrow. That shit, instead of rolling your sleeves up like a grown ass woman and taking care of your business today. And then the final one is you avoid thinking about the problem altogether. You just hide your head in the sand and act like everything is perfectly wonderful. You are the ones that suffer the most. Because your conscious mind is still aware of the fact that you embroiled in a whole bunch of BS. But no matter how you try to suppress it and pretend and all that, it's still there. Problem's still there. Okay, so let's talk about women's denial. Okay, the last ones, how women argue against reality or just like I just said, ignore it altogether. But in order for you to start moving past some of these relationships, there's certain things you have to accept and certain things that you just have to do it. I know it's not going to feel good. I know it's going to hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to be mad. You probably have a lot of anxiety, resentment, a whole bunch of emotions you're going to have. But what you won't have is like that song says, got 99 problems, but an N ain't one. Okay, so that would be a big element of your problems would be removed once you make the move to take care of yourself better and put yourself first. So here's some of the things that women have to do. They have to start first by differentiating between your personal truths, that's what you believe, versus the facts. Okay, so he tells you, oh, I love you, or he told you that, 7 years ago or whatever. And yet his behavior is not showing that. It's not showing respect. It's not showing a sense of partnership. It's not showing love. Okay, those are the objective facts right in your face. He's, corner cutting, dodging responsibility, putting too much on you. You're the only one cleaning up after him like you his mother. He ain't working. You're paying all the bills. All of this kind of stuff and the stress and strain of it all. You young girls will accept all that nonsense. But your personal truth is, well, but he loves me though. But the fact is that's not being demonstrated at all. So you have to accept the difference between what you want to believe, which is your personal truth. It's only true to you, versus the facts that are staring you in the face that don't match up. Okay, there's a conflict here. You have to accept the facts and stop trying to put your truth, your desires as truth onto the facts. Okay, that's not going to work. It definitely is an action word. Okay. And these other things you have to accept. Okay, that's the part, the personal truths, what you believe and think versus what is. Then that's the second part is you have to accept that, he doesn't love you. I don't care what his lips are saying. He doesn't love you because he wouldn't be doing this, that, and the third, as we say, right, y'all? He would be doing all that. You would know where he was. He wouldn't be having ads on single sites and swipey things. He wouldn't be over there collecting pictures from girls on IG. He would come through for you when he said he was going to. He would talk to you like he loved and cared about you. He would be there for you when you need him. So all of these kind of things, you have to say, understand that when someone loves you, they don't do you like that. But so many young women just don't get it. And they get caught up in that fantasy and that struggle love nonsense. Oh my God, it drives me crazy. And dudes are good at that. Yeah, I love you. I think I'm falling in love with you. I could see myself with you. They have a many different ways to say it to allude to it so that you fill in the blanks yourself because he ain't really said shit. He ain't really gonna do shit either. It's all talk. And then that third thing that women need to come to grips with and accept is that love doesn't make you feel confused. You don't be crying all the time. You don't end up broke, and you don't end up with bruises either. If you're having any of those kind of things, you don't trust him, you feeling all confused about where you stand, who he is, why is this happening, what's going on here, that's not love. It's some weird kind of dependency. And honey, you know how so many of these girls, man, your dude proposed to you and you get a little ring on your finger and you want to talk around talking about my fiance, y'all lose your damn minds. You just all kind of sense and reason goes out the window once you have a fiance. You just let him get away with murder. You don't have any boundaries, no standards for behavior, no nothing. Well, you can't breadcrumb if you not a hungry bird. Let me just put it that way. Okay? Because, I don't want no breadcrumbs. I'd be the bird that's looking for me a fat, juicy worm or something. You breadcrumb away down the road down there, just help yourself. But, you're only going to pick up breadcrumbs if you're thirsty and hungry and he can see it in you, that desperate need for somebody. Then they breadcrumb you and it's easy. They don't even have to do too much. Just say a few words and you breadcrumb yourself. Number 4, the other thing that you all don't want to accept is that your ex does not love you anymore and he has moved on to his new woman. Sometimes they move on to the new woman before they even break up with you. But y'all don't want to accept that. Oh, he's going to see. But we loved each other. He's going to come back to me. All kind of stuff you all be saying. Why would you want somebody back who treated you that way and did you like that? That's the part that drives me crazy. That's why I say I want my exes to just be eaten up by jaws or something for the aliens to come snatch them up. I don't care what happens to them. But one thing they not going to do is come back into my life. That's one thing we're not doing that. Now you can come up with something else. That's right, Cleo. And then the final thing that women deny, at least on this slide, is you don't have a hard time accepting that after the breakup is over, even if they say we're going to break. Okay, you're broken up. I don't understand why you try to think that's two different things. It's the same thing. Break up, same thing. The relationship is over, and you can't be his friend either. They're gonna try to throw that out at you, so you're gonna keep you on the hook if you let him. Well, we can be friends, they say, as they on out the door to some other woman or doing whatever. These days it could be another man. I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, they're not with you. And the bottom line there is, when they try to throw you that friendship bone, reject it. Say, you're not my friend. We were never friends. Okay. We were lovers and now we're not. So there's no need for you to be meddling up in my life. Get out of here. Go do what it is, whatever clowns do, and then just do that over there somewhere. Yeah, my fiance, my husband is Huzzbond, in case you were wondering. Now, this is where the audience participation part comes in. I want to know what you think. When women do the things that I just said, that I went over that list, and they refuse to let go, and they refuse to accept reality, and they want to choose to live in denial, what do you think it stems from? Some ideas that were thrown my way was that they have low self-confidence, or no self-confidence and low self-esteem. Or do you think it's something else? You can say in the chat or you can call in, whichever one you want. I'll put the little dial in number there. It's probably easier for most of you to just put it in the chat. But I'm interested in seeing what you have to say. While you guys think about it, let me read um, some letters where people are trying to deny reality. This one, the first one, is from a dude. He says, I'm not sure what's going on here, so I can use some help. I met this girl via Hinge and we hit it off and we went out for ice cream for a first date. All was going pretty well. She seemed to be into me, and I made some flirty, teasing type joke, and she kicked me pretty hard in the shin. It hurt, but I tried to brush it off to look tough. But it was not an accidental bump or even a particularly light, playful kick. She immediately apologized, but I can't help but feel that this is a sign of more to come. I don't want to be a DV victim, and I was taught to use my words and not my fists. Do you think I'm overreacting? Could she have just had first date jitters and overdone it on what she intended to be light and playful? See the excuse making? Or is this a sign of worse abuse to come? We have a second date for tomorrow evening. So this was this on my Quora thing? I don't know where. Anyway, I wrote him a response. I'm going to read it to you. It says, I would suggest that you not go. People always show us who they are. The problem is most of us make excuses, come up with impossible scenarios, relax our boundaries and standards, and focus on might, maybe, woulda, coulda, shoulda, instead of the facts and reality right in our face. Any person with sense would not kick someone, nor slap, pinch, poke, or punch either, on the first date or at any other time. This is a sign of marked disrespect, an inability to handle emotions, and a propensity towards violence. It is a sign of poor manners, low emotional intelligence, and just plain don't know how to fucking act in public. So I'm amazed at how many people are making excuses, justifying and sidestepping the issue, which here is on the first date. This girl felt it was fine to kick the hell out of you. That is inexcusable behavior unless you are 18 months old. Please cancel this date and never again go out with any person who violates your body, mind, or feelings in any way that causes you pain. I mean, mental pain, emotional pain, or physical pain, it's all the same. She hurt you, and for that, she should be jettisoned from your life. That was my response to him. Now, would I say the same thing to a woman? Absolutely. You don't put your hands on me. Yeah, that's what I tell them all the time. Facts of life. You still single? Fear of being single, constant societal pressure, confused about religion. Huh. They don't think they can get another relationship. And Cleo says, I don't think they're in denial at all. I think they would rather have a dusty relationship than none at all. Huh. Being single is worse than chaos. You might be right there. And Honey says it stems from childhood and family. If you come from a big family, they punch down on you not being able to keep a man or him from straying, or single not being married. Oh. Okay, so basically, bottom line, if we funnel all of this down, it has to do with fear. Fear of what other people are going to say, a fear of being single by themselves. I got you. All right, let's move on. Oh, now let me read another one too. Okay, I didn't give an answer to this one, but I thought this was interesting. These are letters from people, like I said, who were doing things who did not want to accept reality. Okay, because otherwise, it's like this wouldn't be writing these letters asking for suggestions and advice. They would have already handled it. But the fact that they're still thinking about it means that they're in some form of denial because they're trying to find a way to stay in the situation. That's what when people go looking for advice a lot of times, and you guys hear them right here. They call and say, I don't want to break up with him. I just want to know, how I can save the relationship. One thing you don't tell me is what to do. This is my goddamn show. And when I give advice, I'm gonna give the advice I want to give, and you gonna like it. If you don't like it, then don't write to me. That's the number one rule. So, these chicks coming here talking about, don't tell me this and that. Bitch, I'm gonna tell you anything I want to. And you gonna listen. That's what's gonna happen. So in this situation here, this guy writes, he says he's 38, his girlfriend is 42. 4 years old, she ought to know better. Makes eyes at other men while we're out, and it makes me feel disrespected. If it's not engaging with strangers while we're out, it's texting or messaging with male, quote, friends. I'm aware that she will find other men attractive, and I can't be the only one in her life to give her attention. However, I can't shake this feeling of being disrespected when this happens. I know she loves me and don't think she would ever cheat on me, but I hate feeling like I'm in competition because she needs validation from others outside our relationship. What should I do? What should he do? What would I tell him to do? I would tell him to leave her dusty behind alone. No woman who respects a man is going to treat him like that. Be like all, grinning up in other men's faces all the time and texting and giggling with on the phone with other men while she's out with what's supposed to be her man. Who does that? Except somebody who really doesn't give a shit about you or your feelings. He hasn't. He's still talking to her. So I know she loves me, and I don't think she would ever cheat on me. That's him projecting his emotions onto her, whereas her behavior is showing that she's still out on the market doing whatever. That is just not cool behavior for someone who is committed. Not to say she wouldn't still talk to her dudes and stuff. Like if they call, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm out with." Let's say the boyfriend is Ronnie. I'm out with Ronnie right now. I'll check. I'll call you back later in the week. Click. That was how that would go if she was showing him the proper respect. And then she'd get off the phone and say, "Oh, that was Ronnie. He was just wanting to shoot the breeze. I'll call him, on Friday or whatever." She might not be yet, but she's definitely looking for somebody to. See, I'm not gonna say for a fact that she is because we don't know that. That's why I hesitate to make those kind of statements. But I do know for a fact that her behavior is just like exceedingly disrespectful, and it is indicative of someone who is still on the market, still looking. Now, has she actually done it? We have no proof of that. He doesn't seem to think that she does, and I'm not going to put thoughts in his mind. But I'm just saying that the behavior is indicative of someone who's not in a committed relationship and who's still on the market and single. Okay? Now, that I will say. Now, here's another one. Them swipey things. I just, ugh. This guy writes and says, oh no, this is a girl. I'm sorry. She says, I'm asking because I come from an unhealthy and abusive relationship pattern. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being too much of a stickler. I'm 30 and I matched with a guy who was 32 on Tinder and have been talking for a couple of weeks by text and over the phone. I told him at the beginning that I like to meet in public and require a 24-hour notice, at least ask me out a day in advance so I can plan my day, outfit, get a dog sitter, etc. Okay, that sounds reasonable, right? She got, stuff, she got obligations and she wants to look cute. He has yet to ask me out on an actual date, and today asked me to come over at the last minute. I obviously say no, that's dangerous to me. He says, okay, we'll want to see a movie today. I said that I'd be happy to see them with you tomorrow. He then proceeded to tell me how arbitrary my 24-hour rule is, and I'm, quote, making it more difficult than it needs to be, end quote. I hung up the phone because I was getting upset. I felt like I was explaining myself over and over again. Do you think that I'm making this difficult? Nope. I think that when you hung up, though, you didn't go far enough. You hung up, but you should have blocked him. Because what happens in a situation like that, you set a boundary, you set an expectation. 24 hours is not a lot of time to ask somebody so you can get somebody to watch your pet and, be a responsible pet owner. So he, though, is going to insist that things be his way. So when you meet pushy ass men like that don't listen to what you say and want you to rearrange your life around when he wants to be around you and see you and stuff, that was a test and you passed it with flying colors because you maintained your boundaries. Most women would have given in and said, oh, well, okay. Yeah, well, she hung up, but I mean, she didn't say that she blocked him and hoping that she did. But for, uh, in actuality, yeah, that's it. But it's a test. Because, a lot of women say stuff like they say, oh, these are my rules and my boundaries. And then as soon as the dude gives them a little pushback, they fold like a bad poker hand. And so he did it a couple of times. She didn't give in. And then he going to try to put her down and guilt trip her into letting him do it his way. And she still didn't give in. And instead, she hung up on his ass. And that was excellent. She handled herself very well. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's go look at some more slides. So why do women like to go into the land of denial? Like I said earlier, it's usually because there's something upsetting, some painful emotions, some stress or something. The reality is going to require them to make a change. And a lot of people don't like change. They would rather stay in some sick, twisted situation. Like somebody over here said, even a dusty relationship is better than none. So they choose the dusty relationship. That's essentially it. So by denying the problem, that allows them to continue engaging in the destructive behavior without addressing the problem. They just pretend like it's not as bad as it is, or that it's really not there at all. That's why they be like, is this okay? Is it all right for me to think this way? So let's talk about some examples. Y'all might have some too that you can pop in the chat. These are defense mechanisms. These are some common ones. Somebody denies that they have a booze or a substance abuse problem because they go to work every day and still function and don't have any DUIs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, that means you're not like rock bottom, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a problem. This stuff is on a scale. Or after hurting someone's feelings, you turn around and blame them for your behavior. See, they're denying their culpability in the hurting of someone's feelings. Facing negative situations in a relationship, you avoid thinking about it because then that way you don't have to face the problem, right? The women whose men be cheating on them, they just act like they don't know. Because that kind of denial, the thinking about him and what it means and what they're going to have to do and divorce and all stuff, what they're going to do with the kids. I mean, all of that becomes so overwhelming for them that they decide that it's just safer and better for everybody to just act like they don't know and that it's not happening. That's that kind of denial. And finally, to refuse to believe that a problem is as serious as it really is. That happens a lot with verbal, emotional, and even physical abuse. A lot of denial goes on in those situations. So how can you overcome denial? These are homeworks. So, if you guys got a phone, take a screenshot of this. Because especially if you're the kind that likes to deny stuff that's going on in your relationship, you notice, as we've been talking today, that you have a past history of doing this kind of thing to yourself about relationships in the way that and it could be not even, romantic relationships. Sometimes it's friendships, family relationships, work relationships. But any kind of relationship that you have noticed that you have a tendency to brush off and deny the problems, this slide is for you because this tells you how to start the process of overcoming denial and its work. And like I said earlier, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And you're going to have to deal with a lot of emotions. It's going to require you to endure some personal growth, which you probably need if you've been living in denial all this time. At the end of it, you'll feel a lot better. Your self-esteem will climb to like rooftops because you'll be taking care of yourself and you'll be living more authentically. And there's nothing more freeing than living authentically, not hiding yourself and pretending and all the stuff here. Okay, so read these things here. I'll read them out loud. But take a screenshot, like I said, and you start working on these things if this is you. This show is talking about you. Think about why you're afraid to face the issues and problems. Why did you run away? Why did you hide? Why did you pretend? Why? Think about the reasons and make a list. And then what? I told you there's 2 video series on this channel called And Then What? So, kind of keep that in your mind as you consider the consequences of not dealing with the issues and the problems from point number one. Because there's a consequence to everything. Number three, you can try reaching out to a good friend or family member that you trust for an honest and objective perspective. Some people say they don't have one, so they end up writing to this channel. That's fine too. And the fourth one is, as you start working to identify your distorted views and the thoughts that contribute to your anxiety, a journal is a good idea because you can write down those thoughts that you have and then check them against reality. Okay. Or give it to a friend and say, are these thoughts here realistic? Is this what's really going on? Am I seeing things correctly? And if they care about you, they'll read them and they'll, tell you honestly yes or no. And then if the answer is no, then they'll tell you what really is going on so you can compare the two, their perspective of reality versus your distorted view of reality. Yes, and then what? You used to be too nice, girl. I wish I had that problem. But yeah, so that's important. These are important things to overcome denial. And like I said, it's going to be work. It's not going to be easy. You've been living that way for who knows how many years, decades even. But let's talk about that. Some tips to change your behavior. Like I said, acceptance is not easy, and it's probably, it's going to stir up a lot of emotions. You'll feel kind of hurt when you start thinking about, your feelings, you might be angry at yourself because you'll be like, oh, dang, why did I do that to myself? But don't beat yourself up too much. Let's move on. The idea here is to recognize when we're screwing up and then to do something about it. I don't want you guys to be focused on the past and rehashing shit that happened 20, 30 years ago and beating yourself up about it all over again. That's not the point of this show. The point is to reflect on the past, certainly. The things that you did, write them down. What you're going to do in the future, write that down too. And then that's going to be your map to a better life. Because one thing you don't want to do is keep repeating negative, hurtful patterns your entire life. You just can't do that to yourself. It doesn't make any sense. But part of it is doing the work to recognize when you're behaving that way. And so you got to do the work that was on a couple of slides back of, identifying when you're running away from your problems and issues. So this is what happens. You lie to themselves and denying what's true and what's real. You get to keep your emotional safety and security blanket. Even if it's stupid, even if it's like irritating, even if you're stressed the hell out, in agony, emotionally, all that is still a comfort zone for you because it's familiar. Right? That happens a lot. But in order to move on, women need to sacrifice that strong desire for sameness and security and what just short term, because it's not going to last long. That period's not going to last long. But you don't want to do it, and you don't want to do it, or you don't know how to do it, and that's why I'm giving you tips on how to do it. These are some things that you need to do to accept reality. When you're accepting it, it's a couple of steps to it. So here we go. Wait, you got to tune in first and recognize when you are resisting reality. So you're going to start checking with yourself. Okay, you start talking to yourself. That's what usually the words are in your head. You start giving yourself messages. And sometimes those are going to be like in direct contradiction to what's going on in the real world. So you have to tune into yourself, check in with yourself, and start recognizing when you do that. This is something that you would go in your journal. Then you ask yourself, okay, so you've been doing all this stuff, right? This denying reality stuff. When you do that, are your efforts to deny reality, have they really helped you? Have they benefited you in any way? Has it made the relationship better? Has it made you better? What's the benefit here to keep doing that? Keep denying reality. Think about that part. Journal that as well. You got to stop trying to control everything. That's what this is all about. You want the relationship to be the relationship that you want. You want him to change to be the man that you need him to be. Instead of realizing that he's never going to be that man, just go find somebody else who is. Okay, you can't love him, nag him, whine, or wheedle him, nook him, nothing, beg him, pay his bills for him, nothing. There's no way for you to make a man change to be the man that you want him to be. He has to want to do that all on his own, by himself. Another tactic that you can involve in accepting reality is pretending that you are accepting it, and then kind of seeing, okay, if I accept this is how would I feel? And you kind of put yourself in that position where you're pretending that you are accepting it, and see how you feel. Check in with yourself in that moment. Most of the time, the fear that you have of the emotion that you think you're going to be experiencing are nowhere near the ones that you actually do once you try that pretend step. And finally, accept and be willing to experience all of your emotions. Don't run away from your anger. Most women do that. Don't run away from your rage. Some women are scared of their anger. You don't want to. You always want to be nice. You want everybody to like you. That's unrealistic. It's never going to happen. Okay, so stop even expecting it. Stop thinking that that's what you need to do to have friends and stuff like that. If you got to change yourself like that every time you meet somebody, who are you really? You don't even know who you are anymore. Okay, so you got to be willing to accept. If you're mad, that's okay. If you're happy, that's okay. If you're horny, that's okay. If you don't want nobody touching you, or even looking at you and you just want to be in a bad mood for the rest of the afternoon, that's okay too. If you want to cry, that's fine. If you want to cuss somebody out, that's great. You know what I mean? All of your emotions, accept them. Don't question them. Don't down them. Don't put yourself down. Feel them and then deal with them. Okay? Because if you deal with all the stuff that's coming your way, and be authentic with your emotions, you will feel better. I'm telling you, be able to put them antidepressants down. It's hard for people to be authentic because everybody's, when you got low self esteem, you want people to like you. So this is what I think. This is my own personal thoughts right here. After doing all of this thinking here, to me, true acceptance is about acknowledging your reality in situations that are outside of your control. Because I always tell you, you can't change nobody but yourself. You cannot change the past or other people. You can, however, control your own actions and your own reactions. And it all starts with accepting that reality is what it is. No amount of wishful thinking will ever change it. Yeah, it's okay to be angry. I be angry all the time, pissed off all the time, cussing people out. It's not a problem. It's okay. It's all right. And then, if you guys I was looking for suggestions for the Sunday sermons. So if you have something that you wanted us to talk about, you just send it there. Jeffsterism@gmail.com. Oh, that kind of messed up. At gmail.com. Your topic suggestion. Okay. So let's go over some more of these though, because I want to give you guys some more examples of people uh, when they were denying or not, willing to address reality. Okay. This girl says she found her husband's, they're both 28, Grinder account 2 months after she had a baby. We've been together for 9 years, married for 2. I don't know what to do. Our child is going to be 2 months old. I'm still on maternity leave for another month. I woke up yesterday and went out to the living room to take my shift with our son. My husband left his phone in the living room, and I didn't think it was a big deal. So I left it there and figured I'd let him grab it when he woke up the next morning. But later, I got his phone, and the lock screen said he had notifications from Grinder. I knew he was bi. As far as I know, he's only had one encounter with the guy, and that was before we were dating over 9 years ago. But that he downloaded Grinder and is messaging guys in our marriage where I just had a baby. So I opened his phone and looked. One of the messages I read was literally that night. He got pictures from some guy, told the guy he was, you know, interested and tipsy, and he wanted to, oh my. It rhymes with seed, but it starts with a B. Him so bad that he made him so excited. I saw messages from over a year ago where he sent pictures of himself, just face pictures. I didn't see any nudes. It looked like he sporadically went on the app. I found one short conversation with a guy in the middle of the day over a week ago when he was at work in the middle of the damn day, chatting about his lunch. I remember seeing the date of that message and feeling worse that was the morning I woke up and just felt horrible. I had a few drinks the night before. Baby was completely safe and I had stored milk. I felt so guilty the next morning I had a panic attack. I tried calling my therapist as soon as the office opened and my husband went on Grindr to message other men. So she went to her parents' house to stay, and he says it was all just a gay fantasy, but downloading Grindr does not make this a fantasy anymore. He says he's never met anyone outside of our marriage, and I believe it, but I still consider this cheating. I stand with my parents. I feel so hurt and betrayed. Yeah. And his parents are separated because his dad struggled with milk addiction himself. But he's his own person. He did this to me himself. I don't know what to do from here. So, what is her reality? What is her reality? She married a man that she knew was bi. Now, when you know that someone identifies as bi and you marry them, what should you expect? That they were going to go and be interested in the same gender at some point, right? He didn't say I just did that one time and this, it was just an experiment in college or something. No, he identifies, he's taking on that identity of being bi. Okay. So to me, that would mean that I should not have married him if I did not want a man to have interest in other men. So see, she denied reality. And look where it got her. Now she's gonna be stuck with a baby by a man who likes to diddle with other men, being divorced and having wasted most of her youth in a situation like this because she's been with dude for 9 years. That's almost a decade of her life. So, you know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about, where you have to do the and then what? And she didn't do that. She didn't do that. She just going on the fact that she had a fiance and then a husband. I can tell. The fact that she knew that and she just like blew it off, just brushed it off like it was nothing. Like I said, men always tell you who they are. The problem with women is y'all don't listen. You don't listen. You just want to take it and make it be the romantic fantasy that you have in your head. You just have this picture frame of the fantasy and you just plopping one man after another in there till one of them fits. You're not really looking at it with discernment. The man that you marry is the greatest, most important decision that you will ever make in your damn life. I am so serious. It can make or break you. I mean, it destroy your life for 20 or 30 years after, with divorce and debts and, kids that's all emotionally fucked up because their parents divorced. I mean, it's just a nightmare. Okay. You don't want to do that to yourself. You have to think more about this stuff when this starts happening. What does this mean long term? What impact would this have on my life? What about any kids' lives that I had? And I would have told him, no, we're not even going to date, let alone be a couple, let alone get married, let alone father any kids with me. So see, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, honey, I'm just saying. He took the identity though. See, that's like an ownership thing. That means he's invested. That's what I'm saying. That's the difference to me. He's invested in it, in this lifestyle and that identity. And therefore, if I want a man who's strictly hetero, I would not have selected him. It's just that simple. Then let's do another one. This chick's 33 and she's got a boyfriend who's 40 and he's expecting a child with his ex-wife. She asked how I navigate this. I've been dating, she's calling him Justin, for a few months. Things just got complicated. He has two young children with his ex-wife. They separated early in COVID, not terribly long after the second kid was born. For the sake of the children, finances, and COVID, etc., they continue to live in the same house. He likens it to a roommate arrangement because they have separate bedrooms. They both have relationships with other people since separating, and for the most part have been amicable. But now she's pregnant and in the early second trimester. She was pregnant before he and I started dating, but she had just told him now. He had provided some donations in the past when they were trying for another child. He was not aware that she was trying to get pregnant at all and that she was using his stored specimens. He loves children, so of course he is very happy. So now my boyfriend is having a child with his ex-wife. So far, I haven't had an issue with them still living together. I don't agree with it necessarily, the misleading of their children, but I do understand why they're doing it. He had told me before the pregnancy announcement that he's still planning to live with her for some time. He likes the arrangement has been for the kids, and I was fine with that. I'm not planning to rush into moving in with him should our relationship progress as it has been. Normally, I would not be concerned about looking so far ahead this early into a relationship, but this situation is forcing me to. I am trying to determine if this relationship can work. Now, what are the facts of this case? Yes, Maya. What are the facts of this case? Okay, you have a boyfriend who's 40 years old who has a woman who's supposed to be his ex-wife pregnant. Now he has all this fancy story about them living in separate bedrooms and all this old kind of stuff here. Would I believe that? Absolutely not. Would I believe the woman got pregnant from a donor? Nope. I think you went up in her room and because y'all not divorced like you trying to portray you are. Yeah. See, that's what I would be thinking, Maya. This don't smell right. This don't smell right. But like I said, she has the facts, right? The reality is the man that you call yourself dating has a woman that he claims is his ex-wife pregnant. He gonna be having a baby and he's happy about having a baby. So what are you doing? Why are you there? You see what I mean? And she's like she's like trying to ignore that and talking about moving in with him and you know, uh determine if this relationship can work. What relationship? What relationship? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Okay, here's another one. Now she's only 18, so we got to cut her some slack because she's just a baby. It's probably her first and second little relationship. We've been having problems for a few months. We're both 18. He doesn't love me like I need. He's just there. We've been together for 9 months, I think. He doesn't do much. Says he does, though. I paid for everything every time we went out. I liked it until I didn't. He almost never got me anything, and my love language is gift giving. It doesn't have to be expensive at all, but just a little something, a note, a picked flower from the sidewalk, etc. Now I moved away. We're doing long distance, and he never texts me to actually talk. All I want to be is loved and comforted. I know I'm difficult, but if he says he loves me as much as he does, then why don't I see it? He literally even said him reply every 8 hours isn't a huge deal and it's not that important. I hate him. I hate how he won't love me. I hate that I love him and can leave him alone and beg for his attention. I feel like a dog begging his owner to play ball, but he only throws the ball once and not ever again. What do I do? Do I just give up? Do I just stop trying to get him to understand? Do I just end it for myself? Like I said, she's only 18, so we're going to cut her some slack. Some slack. But, you know, how many old women way older than her have this mentality? Yeah, she need to leave him alone. But you know, at 18, it's like, I mean, come on, what are you expecting for real? I mean, I don't even think people should be calling themselves having a boyfriend or girlfriend at 18. You know, just go out with this one and that one. Just have a good time. Don't be trying to be in a commitment and having like adult expectations and y'all still got teen on your name. Teen is too young. So what are the facts here? The fact is she's not following my three, the three foundational rules of a relationship. Number one, He's not giving her the relationship that she needs to feel loved and secure and stable, right? That's one of the three rules. The other one is respect. He's not respecting her. By the way, he doesn't come through for her. He doesn't really give anything of himself. Can she count on him? That's the other third rule. Doesn't look like it. Because she wants things and she's not getting anything, and I'm sure she's asked for it, right? So she's saying how much she hates him because he won't love me. So at this point, the reality is right there in her face. This is what you involving yourself in. This is what you calling yourself loving. Why are you loving a man who's not loving you back? See that, if I were her auntie or something, that's what I would be asking her. What is it that you think you're getting out of the situation? Don't sound like nothing. So why are you there? Right? She's 18, so she needs to start learning these um these rules of operation for women. He's a dusty, but he's probably playing with two or three other women at the same time, the way he doesn't text her back and stuff like that. But they're 18. Like I said, it's like you can't really have those kind of mature expectations of somebody who's still a teenager, because teenagers are known to be silly. Okay, now, oh, this one is too long. Let me not do this one, even though it's a good one. A little long. Okay, so now this girl, another one where the reality is right in her face and she's living in denial. Okay, so to keep it short, my boyfriend, I'm 30 and he's 32, had a conversation last week. We've been together for 6 years. He reconnected with a friend and relapsed into drug usage. He had been clean for about 4 months and went out with his friend one night and used again. This was his best friend in his regular using days. Coincidentally, when he was clean, he also wasn't associating with this guy. They met by chance on the street a month ago, went for a coffee here, shot some hoops, and I was trying my best to be tolerant despite being fearful every time that he would go south. Lo and behold, they go out a night together one time 2 weeks after being reacquainted, and they used together. I was devastated and told him if he continued to be friends with this guy and use, I am out. He agreed, and for 2 weeks I didn't hear of the guy. I was doing my best to give him trust, and it was okay. This morning he went for a walk at the park, and that guy was there and invited him for coffee, which he accepted, which turned into going to the bar and then seeing other friends. I was livid when I found out who he was with and told him he broke his promise and he needs to figure out living arrangements because I'm out. I don't know how else to handle this. I spoke to my dad, who said I can't tell him not to be friends with him as long as he isn't staying out all night and coming home. I should give him a break. I don't feel I am being unreasonable, but my father feels I am. Your daddy is dusty. I just need reassurance, I guess. It really hurt that my boyfriend did this and tried to defend himself, saying nothing happened. I'm overreacting, and my father supported that. What the hell? Please just tell me like it is. That's what we do here, so you in the right spot. Okay. What is her reality? Her reality is that she is with a dusty drug user who was evidently clean for 4 months, but easily slid back. That's what they tell you in those programs. You got to cut association with your former crew. You can't associate with them anymore especially till you get really steady in your rehab. But he didn't do that, and so he used. Now her right. She said that she was gonna be out, and she making it sound like she is, but her father's trying to get her to stay there, stay with him. That's what I said. The daddy is dusty too. That's not cool. You shouldn't be sacrificing your daughter like that. So, that's her reality. She's trying to blame it. Like I said, see, denial, she's trying to make it seem like it's the fault of the friend. You can't be friends with him. No, 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 no. He can be friends with anybody he wants to, including a dealer, because he's a grown man, 30 years old. What your only complaint is that he not use. So you have no right to tell him who he can and can't be friends with and who he can and cannot hang around. That's where she overstepped. But the other part, if you don't want to date somebody who's a dope fiend, then you moving on from him is the right thing to do immediately, right? Yeah, the daddy is whack. But you know what? I just thought of something. Maybe the daddy said that because he doesn't want her to come and stay with him. Because if she leaves with dude, where's she going? Probably gonna stay with her parents or something for a while. Daddy's like, oh, hell to the no. I just thought that could be a motivation why he said that. Because he don't want her coming over there. Okay, now here's another one. We're talking about like people seeing the reality right in their face and the fancy ways that they're dipping and around and trying to massage us around um, to stay in these wacky relationships. Okay, now this is from a guy. He says, I'm 22, my girlfriend is 18. Well, that's a mistake right there. She's a kid. We've been dating for 3 months and it's serious. How serious can it be? She's only 18. We've had these moments almost since the beginning where she is just closing up because she, quote, hates me in those moments. She also has a tendency to do stuff behind my back, i.e., go to a party with her sister without telling me because she thinks it will upset me. From the beginning, I was clear that if the sacredness of the relationship is respected and honored in all ways, then I have no quarrel with her. She keeps doing this stuff to me, and I don't really know what to do about it. They always tend to happen when we're not physically next to each other, when she's home and we're texting or on call. I'm really trying to be as understanding as possible with her, but she just does worse in return. What to do? Okay, so you realize that you're dating a kid because she's 18 and she still likes to go to parties and hang out with her sisters and do things that 18-year-olds do. And you know that. And yet you're trying to put her in a box like she's, some old married matron or something. That's not going to work, son. What you see is what you get. You have an 18-year-old who just hates you trying to control her. So what do you and you what do you call it, the sacredness of the relationship? You're doing way too much. For somebody who's only 22 and she only 18, you too old for her anyway. So why don't you go and find you a woman at least 21, 20 something, and then let this girl go be a teenager? This is ridiculous. Okay, now this is the one. I want to see what y'all gonna say about this one. Okay, my fiance has a scummy friend. We're all 26. My fiance and this guy have been friends since they were 5. We just celebrated our 4th anniversary. On to the friend. He's extremely disrespectful. On multiple occasions, has tried hitting on friends, girlfriends in the friend group. He tried moving towards that with me, but I shut him down and told my partner about it. He also confronted him. Well, I have kept him blocked on Snapchat. Wow, he sounds like a real winner. He doesn't have anything on stuff that'll save messages, not since I told his wife about it. When he was 19 or 20, he was sleeping with a 16-year-old. He also tried to drag my fiance into a relationship with a minor during that time, but when he found out her age, he was disgusted. They didn't talk for a long time because he thought my partner called the cops and got him arrested. He didn't. Well, anyways, he's been married now for almost 3 years. The real problems came the last time I visited him when I was 9 months pregnant. He tried to talk to us about surrogacy. Even knowing that I had multiple miscarriages, until his wife popped in with, oh, yeah, we don't care. You can do it the natural way with my husband if you want. I just laughed it off, and she kept pushing, asking if we were planning to get pregnant again as if she could get dibs on one of my babies. I get that infertility makes people do crazy things, but suggesting any other kind of relationship between me and your husband, who have shut down multiple times, is just cuckoo. Anyways, that was a year ago. We rarely get out now. We got 2 young kids, and I work some weekends, 2 weekends in a row starting next weekend. I'm just stuck on the fact that he wants to hang out with a guy who tries to bang his wife. I make jokes about it like I can never be blonde, but honestly, it does scare me. This guy was on the offenders list, and we have 2 young children, and he just generally gives me the creeps. I don't want this dude who is disrespectful towards us and his own marriage being best man at our wedding. Straight up, we had to move around the wedding party many times because of him trying to screw with the women. I cried before he left to go up with his friend because honestly, I had a pit feeling in my stomach. Am I overreacting? I feel like maybe because he's trying to see his friend without making me uncomfortable and was willing to take our older child with him. No. Okay, so what's the reality of this situation here? Yes, I'm telling you. Okay, you tripping big time. You got a kid, and this guy that your husband wants to bring your kid around was on the you know what offenders list. That means he was convicted, right? He got arrested. He got convicted of whatever he was doing with that little 16-year-old girl. Plus, you don't know if it was something else involved in it as well. Okay, but I'm assuming it's for that. And you gonna let your husband gonna bring his kids around somebody like that. Okay. And you still talking about marrying this man. Did you guys notice that? I don't want him to be best man at our wedding. Why would you marry a man who has a friend like that? Why would you do that? Why would you have kids with a man who hangs around with that kind of element and thinks that's okay? Especially want to have bring your kids around it. Why would you do that? Don't you realize what kind of risk your child, especially as your kid gets older, you're putting your child in? Those people are nuts. And here you go with this man dragging your kid over there. I said, no, you go if you want to. My kids are never going over there. You leave my baby right here in this house. That's what he would get from me. And it's like, if you didn't even think about it, I'll shoot all your tires out. You won't be going nowhere. Okay? But now you can go, but you're going to go by yourself. My kids stay in the house with me. I don't know. Dr. Steele, that is the question of the hour. Why would you want to be around a man who thinks that those kind of people are appropriate to associate with? Especially the way that the stuff that he's saying to the man, to his own wife. Like what about a surrogate and stuff? Why would you do that? It was so disrespectful. And her husband doesn't even have sense enough to check the guy on it. Don't be talking to my wife like that. We're out. We'll see you in another lifetime because you don't know how to act. Why wouldn't you do something like that? And she had to keep changing the wedding because he's married and she keeps trying to mess with the women in the bridal party. So she has to keep changing the wedding people because they drop off the wedding. But really, I think that's a blessing because somebody's trying to tell her, don't do this. You had a baby, but that was stupid too. So, again, see the women, she sees the reality. She knows the reality. She got all this stuff to say, and probably a lot that she didn't even say that, could have added to it. And yet she's still there, and yet she wants to move forward with, tying herself to this man legally and having kids with him. And this is his good friend and his associate. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. Okay, now this is the last one I'm gonna read. So you guys listen closely so you can give your opinion on this one. What we're doing for those out there listening, if you just popped in, we're reading some things that some posts rather, where people have a full knowledge of the ignorance of the person that they're involved with, the shady morals and values, the criminalness, the violence, the weirdness, and that they keep pushing forward in the relationship, trying to make it get in even deeper, having kids with them and wanting to talk about marrying them or already married to them and knowing that they're an idiot. So here we go with this last one. My boyfriend won't stop using my stuff and damaging or misplacing it. I want to start off by saying my relationship is great. Yet she's writing an advice letter. Okay. I love my partner so much. We've been together for 4 years, and this is not a deal breaker for me. So we will not be breaking up over this. It's just one thing that's starting to drive me absolutely nuts. So you're going to break up over it sooner or later. I'm 22 and my partner is 24, and he borrows my stuff a lot. He normally always asks first, which I appreciate, but he often doesn't give things back when he's done. He doesn't leave them where I can find them, or he uses them with very little care and respect. This includes my headphones, my vape, my water bottle, my pens. I collect favorite pens that I like to use, chargers, and sometimes my car. I'm happy to share my things with people. I grew up with siblings, and this trait was heavily enforced by my parents. However, we were also taught that you return the items you borrow quickly and in the same or better state than when you borrowed them, clean and working properly. My boyfriend takes pens I like and uses them for work, and I never see them again. He drinks all the water in my bottle and doesn't refill it. Takes my chargers from where I use them, so I have to search the house for my chargers. And there's been a few occasions where he would use my car late at night with my permission. When I go to use my car, it's unlocked or some windows are open, and it's been parked on the street like that all night. The pins and chargers are mostly replaceable. I can refill my water bottle, and I don't let him use my car often enough for these things to bother me on their own. The part that is bothering me the most is the headphones and the vape, as ridiculous as it is. I use my headphones every day at work, and I use my vape many times throughout the day. His last pair of headphones were actually mine. I had given them to him after I got new Bluetooth ones, and he had been borrowing the corded Marley headphones all the time, so I just let him keep them. Recently, those headphones broke, so he's been asking to borrow my Bluetooth ones. I'm happy to share, so I often say yes, but they are never back in my bag when I go to work. He leaves them in his car or office on a table somewhere, and I have to constantly remind him to return them or look for them myself. It's been months since his headphones broke. I've asked him to get new ones, and he never does. And then asks to borrow my headphones again. Now you need to start saying no. You don't need to buy them because he can just use yours. With my vape, he doesn't always ask, but sometimes he does. Sometimes he will just grab it from me when it's out of juice and won't hand it back to me without hitting it a few times before I can check. Sometimes he shoved it in his pocket after he's done. I have to literally ask him to give me my own vape. I've been going through a million coils lately, which aren't cheap because he keeps accidentally pressing the button, switching it from 5 watts to 80, and then continues hitting it and burns through a coil almost instantly. I've talked to him about it, but it's always an accident and he didn't realize. This morning I woke up to grab my vape from next to me, and it was not where I left it when I was asleep. Instead, I found it on the bed, turned up to 79 watts with the fresh coil I put in last night before I went to bed already burnt. This feels like such a stupid problem, but I'm so close to losing my shit. Am I completely overreacting? I feel like he doesn't treat my stuff with respect, and by extension me, because I've talked to him about these things so many times. I know ADHD can make some of these things happen at times, but I really just want to be able to use my stuff without him treating it poorly. How can I help him understand what a big deal this is to me? Or should I just let it go because it's ridiculous? No, you say you don't want to break up with him, no, so you're just going to keep suffering. What are you even writing for? You already said in the beginning that you're not going to break up with him over it, so shut the fuck up then. Just deal with it. Exactly. She liked this because she's staying there. What you say, see, if I feel like I'm talking to somebody who's supposed to have good sense and I have to tell you the same thing more than twice, I mean more than once. So that means by the time I'm telling you the second time, I'm done with your ass. Now, somebody got special needs, they wearing hearing aids and they don't hear that, something like that, I'll make an allowance. But you regular, what they call it, typical, I'm not making no exceptions for you. You're just gonna be out of here. Now, and then he leaves her car with the window unlocked, doors unlocked, windows down. So somebody can just easily take the car. Don't even have to break a window, just inviting the car to be stolen. He loses her stuff intentionally, so he doesn't care about this girl. No, his nothing. His is not too high. It's just his ego that's out of control. He's just a narcissist. He just thinks whatever he does is fine, and he can do whatever he wants to do with her stuff. That's a narcissist. Now, this thing about my grandfather said, if you got to stop borrow something more than twice, you need your own, right? By the time you bring it back that second time, that you just shouldn't be a third. You should be going and getting your own. So that's the motto that I've always, lived by. And I was always the only girl, so I never really had to share my stuff. My brothers, they kind of share some of their stuff, their toys or whatever. But, like sharing clothes and all, I never had to go through all that. So I'm not into that. I'm not sharing nothing. I'm not sharing my stuff with you. Well, she should know she can replace him too. Because it sounds like she's the one giving the most. He's not doing anything. He's the taker. and she's the giver. And those kind of relationships, when they're out of balance like that, it never works. And he's always using her headphones and stuff. No, by the time he asked the second time, it's like, no, leave my shit alone. Go get your own. Don't touch my stuff. And if he did it anyway, and then I couldn't find it, then something of his would disappear, but he can't find it. You know how I told you I do? I match energy. I match energy. So you gonna be taking my stuff and it's missing, I can't find it. Guess what? Your shit's that's about to start happening to you. And you're gonna be wondering where your stuff is. I'll be like, I don't know. It's like I didn't know where my headphones and my vape was. You see how that works? That's how I do people. We're gonna match energy here. I'm not gonna be the only one suffering. You're gonna be suffering right along with me. So, in all of these instances, you guys, those were just examples so that you could see, how people go into these relationships with all the information they need to make a smart decision, yet they don't make one. They ignore it, they downplay it, they sidestep it, they, act like it's not as bad as it is, or it's not really happening at all. They're the ones seeing it wrong. There's some reason, some way that they massage this stuff around so that the facts, the reality that's staring them right in the face, the women choose to ignore it, and then years later, they've wasted years of their life. They've lost their youth, they lost their beauty. Their bodies are now all messed up from having kids by some random dusties. I mean, all of these things were things that you did to yourself by not paying attention to what you're supposed to be paying attention to and properly vetting the guy and listening to him when he was showing you and telling you who he was. You want to live in your romantic fantasy, and it's going to get you bit in the butt every single time. You need to stop doing that. So that was our show today about fantasy versus reality. This was a rough one. I tell you, this was a rough one. This was our show today that we did. So if you missed it, you just now coming in, you can look at the instant replay on YouTube. It'll be ready for a replay probably in about 30 minutes, I guess. Takes them that long sometimes on busy nights to get it up. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned a lot. If there's some parts that you missed, you want to recheck out the slideshows and make notes, feel free to replay the video. Take a screenshot of the slides that are meaningful to you. Or write it in your Debsterism notebook. I've always encouraged people from the beginning when this channel started to keep a notebook of the things that the lessons that they learned here, and to read through them and apply them. So if you missed that conversation, which I guess I haven't said that for a minute here, but yeah, that's one thing I always advise when people first come to this channel, that they start a notebook. And then you can keep up with your Debsterism sayings and the things that I say that resonate with you. You can put them in your notebook so that you don't have to go look at all the many videos or try to find it again and all this kind of stuff. You'll have your own kind of log and legend of the things that mean something to you and that you can apply to your own life. All right. So that's it for today. I'm going to try to be here on Tuesday. It might not be till Wednesday. Now, I was out of town most of last week. So that just threw my whole schedule off. Just everything was just thrown off. And I didn't get back until like 10 o'clock at night. Oh, God, I hate Southwest so much. But they had the cheapest flight. So, by like $200 sometimes. So it's like I'm not trying to use my money just for no reason. I want to. So I got on there like a little cattle, just like everybody else. And I just hated every second of it. But that was just over now. And so here we go. We're back in pocket. And I will see you guys either Tuesday or Wednesday. Keep an eye out for that. That'll be our regular weekly advice show. If you want to send in a letter for it, it might not be too late. I don't know where Candace is on the process, but you send it in to wait, don't I have a slide about it? I thought I did. I guess I don't. Anyway, email surviving date and go to Debsterism.com, which is right here on the bottom of the screen, Debsterism.com, and there's a form that says get advice. You fill that out and you electronically sign the release for us to put your question on the air. And then that's how that works. Candace will pick them. Usually it's about 25 questions. And then we put them into a document and I read them and respond live on the air. Okay. So that's what we do on this crazy show. Thank you everybody for coming, spending your Sunday evening with me. And I will see you later. Thanks, Shay. I wasn't expecting Shay to show up, but she was here. I was like, I'm happy too. Okay. Talk to you guys later.